People love to say that Golden Retriever is the happiest dog in the world. And on the surface, it makes sense. The soft eyes, the patient tail wag, the way they lean against you like they've spent their entire life trying to make your day easier. A Golden Retriever can walk into a tense room and somehow soften it without making a sound. But that warmth hides something most owners never think about. Because the dog constantly comforting everyone else may be carrying more emotional pressure than anyone realizes. Golden Retrievers were never bred to ignore human emotion. They were shaped for cooperation, for responsiveness, for staying connected to people almost every second they worked beside them. Over generations, humans reinforced dogs that noticed us quickly, stayed emotionally available, and adapted to our moods without resistance. And eventually, that sensitivity became part of who they are. Modern research on canine behavior shows dogs can absorb human emotional states through social referencing and stress contagion. Your tension changes their behavior. Your anxiety changes their nervous system. Some dogs notice it more than others. Golden Retrievers notice almost everything, which means the smiling dog following you from room to room may not only be attached to you emotionally, it may feel responsible for you. And by the end of this video, you'll understand the one behavior most owners mistake for happiness, when it may actually be emotional burnout. To understand why this happens, you first have to understand what Golden Retrievers were actually bred to become. Most people think Golden Retrievers were bred to obey. That's not quite true. Obedience was only part of the job. What humans actually needed was emotional cooperation. A dog that stayed connected. A dog that could work beside people for hours without conflict, without volatility, without drifting mentally away from its handler. A retriever had to watch you constantly. Your posture, your tone, your direction, even your frustration. Long before Golden Retrievers became family companions, they were working dogs built for partnership. Hunters selected dogs with low aggression, high social tolerance, and an unusual willingness to stay emotionally engaged with humans no matter the environment around them. That trait never disappeared. It followed them into living rooms, into families, into your home. Modern studies on canine-human bonding show that when dogs and humans interact affectionately, both can experience increases in oxytocin, the same bonding hormone heavily involved in attachment between parents and children. And some breeds respond to that emotional loop more intensely than others. Golden Retrievers are one of them. They don't simply live around human emotion. They monitor it. You can often see it in the smallest moments. The way your dog watches your face when your voice changes slightly. The way they approach quietly after a stressful day. The way they remain close when you're upset, even without understanding the reason. People call that loyalty, and it is. But loyalty this deep can slowly turn into emotional labor. Because when a dog becomes psychologically wired to keep harmony around the people it loves, good behavior can start hiding exhaustion instead of happiness. And once a dog is wired to prioritize human emotions this deeply, something dangerous can begin to happen quietly over time. One of the hardest truths about Golden Retriever behavior is this. The dogs we praise the most are often the ones suppressing the most. A Golden Retriever that never complains feels easy to live with. They tolerate noise. They stay gentle with children. They remain affectionate after chaotic days. They follow you through the house without demanding much in return. And over time, many of them learn something powerful. Being emotionally available keeps the family connected to them. So they keep doing it. Even when they're overstimulated. Even when they're tired. Dogs communicate stress differently than humans do. Especially socially sensitive breeds. Instead of acting out aggressively, many Golden Retrievers lean harder into appeasement behaviors. Soft eyes, lowered posture, constant tail wagging, quiet physical closeness. Behaviors that look loving on the surface, because often, they are. But context matters. A wagging tail does not always mean emotional ease. Sometimes it means uncertainty. Sometimes it means conflict avoidance. Sometimes it means a dog trying to maintain social harmony while its nervous system stays activated underneath. That's what makes emotional overload so difficult to recognize. The dog still looks good. You may notice it in subtle ways first. Your Golden cannot fully settle, even when exhausted. They constantly monitor movement inside the house. They wake the moment someone stands up. They shadow people from room to room without relaxing independently. They remain hyper-aware of emotional tension, even tiny shifts in tone most humans barely notice. And because the behavior still appears affectionate, owners often reward it unintentionally. More reassurance, more touch, more dependence. The cycle deepens quietly. Some golden retrievers become so conditioned to emotional responsiveness that resting starts to feel psychologically unsafe. Their brain stays partially alert because staying connected to human emotion has become part of their identity inside the household. Not obedience, responsibility. If your golden is always following you, always watching you, always trying to comfort everyone in the house, notice how often they're allowed to emotionally rest. Not physically rest, emotionally. Can they disengage without feeling the need to monitor people? Can they relax without tracking every sound, movement, or emotional shift around them? A lot of owners recognize this pattern only after hearing it described out loud. So if you've noticed small behaviors in your own dog that suddenly make more sense now, leave them in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring the deeper psychology behind dog behavior, subscribe for more videos like this. Because emotional burnout in dogs rarely arrives as a dramatic collapse. It arrives as normal behavior that slowly becomes constant. But emotional burnout in dogs rarely looks dramatic at first, which is exactly why so many owners miss it. The difficult part about emotional burnout is that it rarely looks sad. Sometimes, it looks like the perfect dog. The golden retriever who greets every person with overwhelming excitement. The dog who cannot stop seeking closeness. The one constantly pressing against your leg, bringing toys non-stop, watching every movement, asking for interaction from the moment you wake up until the house finally goes quiet. Most owners see those behaviors and think one thing: my dog is happy. And sometimes, that's true. But genuine joy has rhythm to it. It rises and falls naturally. A healthy dog can engage, then disengage. They can seek connection, then return to calm. They can enjoy affection without feeling psychologically responsible for maintaining it every second. Burnout changes that rhythm. The dog stops knowing how to emotionally power down. You may notice exaggerated greeting behaviors that never fully settle, even after guests have been present for a long time. Constant monitoring near doors or hallways. Stress panting without physical exertion. Persistent attention-seeking cycles that feel less playful and more compulsive. A dog that struggles to rest unless every person in the house is emotionally calm and physically accounted for. That is not simple friendliness anymore. That is hyper-availability. And in companion breeds bred for deep human attachment, hyper-availability can become self-reinforcing. The more emotionally responsive the dog behaves, the more affection and reassurance they often receive. So the nervous system learns to stay engaged constantly, even when overstimulated. Over time, chronic environmental stress can keep cortisol levels elevated in dogs, especially in unpredictable or emotionally tense households. Not because the owners are cruel. Most loving families never realize it's happening. The dog hides it beautifully. That's the tragedy of socially intelligent breeds. They adapt so well to human emotional needs that their own emotional limits become harder to see. A golden retriever may still wag its tail, still cuddle, still greet you enthusiastically after a long day. But underneath that affection, the dog may also be carrying chronic vigilance. The feeling that it always needs to stay emotionally on. And maybe hearing this creates an uncomfortable realization. Maybe your dog has not been needy. Maybe your dog has been trying too hard to hold emotional closeness together, which makes their affection feel even more heartbreaking. Because for many golden retrievers, love does not stop when exhaustion begins. And for many golden retrievers, the hardest part is that they often keep giving affection long after they're emotionally exhausted. One reason emotional exhaustion becomes so invisible in golden retrievers is because many of them are psychologically built to avoid conflict at almost any cost. Other dogs may snap, retreat, bark, or create distance early when they feel overwhelmed. Golden retrievers often do the opposite. They stay close. That trait made them extraordinary working companions. Cooperative breeds were selectively reinforced for low social friction. Dogs that stayed affiliative under pressure, tolerated handling well, recovered quickly from stress, and maintained connection with humans even in demanding environments. But inside modern homes, that same emotional persistence can become a vulnerability. Because many golden retrievers struggle to say no in ways humans easily recognize. Instead, they whisper it. A yawn during constant interaction. lip licking when tension rises, turning their head away slightly during prolonged touching, slower movements, brief hesitation before re-engaging socially. Tiny signs that the nervous system wants relief without disrupting harmony. And families often miss those signals because the dog continues being affectionate afterward. So the assumption becomes, they still like it. But tolerance and comfort are not always the same thing. Many family dogs live inside environments with near-constant social pressure. Children climbing on them, repeated touching throughout the day, noise, visitors, emotional tension between people, continuous engagement with almost no protected space to fully disengage mentally. And golden retrievers often endure all of it quietly, not because they never feel overwhelmed, because connection matters to them so deeply that they keep choosing social harmony over emotional recovery. That changes the way you start seeing certain behaviors. The dog leaning against everyone at gatherings may not only be seeking affection. The dog following tiredly behind you late at night may not simply be clingy. Sometimes the behavior comes from an internal need to maintain emotional proximity even after their own nervous system is depleted. That realization can feel heavy for owners who love their dogs deeply, because the stereotype of the endlessly loving golden retriever suddenly looks different. Not less beautiful, more vulnerable. You begin to realize how much emotional effort some of these dogs give to the people around them every single day without asking for much in return. And how easily humans can mistake silent endurance for endless happiness. Which leads to an uncomfortable question. If a dog spends most of its life emotionally available to everyone else, when does it ever fully relax for itself? Which leads to the question most owners never think to ask. What does emotional rest actually look like for a golden retriever? The solution is not to love your golden retriever less. It's to stop needing them to emotionally carry so much. Because emotional recovery for this breed does not mean isolation. A healthy golden retriever does not want to be emotionally disconnected from its family. What they need is something softer than that. Permission. Permission to stop monitoring everyone. Permission to disengage without feeling responsible for the emotional atmosphere around them. Permission to exist near you without constantly performing emotional availability. That kind of recovery changes a dog slowly. You often see it in the quiet moments first. The deeper sleep, the ability to stay resting when someone walks across the room, less compulsive shadowing, a calmer nervous system, a dog that no longer feels the need to track every emotional movement inside the house. And interestingly, true decompression rarely comes from more stimulation. Many owners respond to emotionally restless dogs with nonstop engagement, more excitement, more attention, more activity. But enrichment and overstimulation are not the same thing. A nervous system already carrying chronic social pressure often needs calm experiences instead of constant intensity. Slow sniffing walks where the dog chooses the pace. Predictable daily routines. Independent rest without interruption. Quiet environments where affection is available but not constantly demanded. Moments where the dog can observe life without managing it emotionally. Those experiences matter because recovery is biological, not symbolic. Stress systems need time to settle. The brain needs periods where vigilance is unnecessary. And secure attachment in dogs does not mean permanent emotional attachment at every second. Real security includes the freedom to safely disengage. That may be the most misunderstood part of loving a golden retriever well. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can give a deeply loyal dog is evidence that the world will stay emotionally stable even when they stop trying to hold it together themselves. Not because they failed you, because they were never supposed to carry that responsibility in the first place. And once you understand this, the way you see your golden retriever changes forever. By now, the picture of your golden retriever may feel different than it did at the beginning. Not darker, more human. Because the emotional sensitivity inside this breed is not a flaw. It is the reason so many people feel transformed by them. Golden retrievers have an unusual ability to make humans feel emotionally safe. Seen, comforted, forgiven. Their attentiveness can soften loneliness in ways difficult to explain unless you've lived beside one yourself. That trait is beautiful, but even beautiful traits have limits when recovery disappears. The constant following, the endless affection, the smiling face that always seems ready to comfort someone. Those behaviors are not meaningless performances. They come from a dog deeply bonded to the emotional world around it. And sometimes, that bond asks more from them than we realize. Dogs thrive when attachment is balanced with emotional safety, when closeness exists alongside rest, predictability, and the freedom to disengage peacefully. Real companionship means noticing not only when your dog wants connection, but also when they need relief from carrying so much of it. That awareness changes the relationship. You stop seeing your golden retriever as endlessly available. You start seeing them as emotionally generous. And generosity deserves protection, because loving a dog like this does not only mean giving affection back. It means protecting their inner world with the same care they quietly offer yours every single day. Sometimes the happiest dog in the room is also the one trying hardest to hold everyone else together.